let me ask you something. What would happen to your hard-earned assets if you were hit with a lawsuit tomorrow? Most people don't think about it until it's too late. But here's the truth. One legal judgment could wipe out everything that you've worked so hard for. And that's why asset protection planning isn't just a luxury. It's essential. So why should you listen to me? Because I've been the CEO of Asset Protection Planners for the last 33 years with attorneys on staff and the largest asset protection firm nationally. So what is asset protection planning? It's a set of legal strategies designed to safeguard your assets from creditors, divorce, lawsuits, or judgments. By putting lawful techniques in place, you can deter potential lawsuits, gain leverage in settlement negotiations, and most importantly, prevent your assets from being seized if a judgment goes against you. So what kinds of strategies are we talking about? Think asset protection trusts, LLCs, equity stripping, and privacy trusts. Many robust plans also incorporate offshore elements in jurisdictions with laws designed to protect your wealth far better than domestic options. At the heart of any effective plan is a thorough legal evaluation. You'll need a professional to assess your financial situation, identify risks, and align with your goals, whether personal or for your family. So the protection plan fits your unique needs. Now, there are a range of legal techniques that offer varying levels of protection, from simple financial privacy to nearly judgment-proof solutions like offshore trusts. The key is to tailor the plan to your assets, your risks, and your comfort level. And if you are interested in taking control of your financial future, I also encourage you to explore our video called The 5 Steps to Protect Your Assets from Lawsuits, an excellent guide to getting started. Wealth protection, when to act. Now, let me be clear. If you even suspect that a lawsuit is coming your way, don't wait. The longer you delay, the more you put your assets at risk. Acting quickly can make all the difference between keeping what's yours and losing it to a legal judgment. Ideally, asset protection should be put in place before there's any sign of trouble. But even if you're facing a lawsuit, there are still options to protect what you've worked so hard for. As Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank likes to say, asset protection is like a high-level form of financial insurance. The key? You want to set it up well in advance to avoid claims of fraudulent conveyance. Although remember, fraudulent conveyance is typically a civil issue and not a criminal one. Still, those who plan ahead are in a far better position to protect assets than those who scramble at the last minute. The bottom line? Get informed about your options, but once you have that knowledge, take action. Waiting only increases your risk. Strongest jurisdictions for asset protection planning. When it comes to asset protection planning, the most effective strategies consider your entire financial picture. Everything from your insurance policies to homestead protection, business entities, and estate planning tools. And often, the strongest protection comes from combining multiple jurisdictions, especially those outside your home country. And this is why foreign asset protection is so powerful. By placing your assets in jurisdictions where the laws are specifically designed to protect you, places like Switzerland, and setting up the proper legal entities in the Cook Islands, Belize, or Nevis, you can keep your wealth out of reach even from the most determined local courts. These jurisdictions offer some of the strongest asset protection vehicles available today. In fact, I've set up more Cook Islands trusts than anyone in the world, and I have a Cook Islands trust for myself and my family. The goal here is not just to protect your assets, but to deter legal opponents from pursuing you in the first place. With the right plan, it becomes incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for anyone to take your assets in the event of a lawsuit. Whether it's your savings, real estate investments, or even your future income, proper asset protection can secure your lifetime of wealth. Asset protection planning benefits. Now let's talk about what happens when you set up a proper asset protection plan. First, any legal opponent or creditor quickly realizes that you're not an easy target. With little to no assets within reach of a judgment, you immediately put yourself in a much stronger position. This can deter a lawsuit altogether, or, if litigation does occur, provide you with a substantial negotiation leverage tool. Now, don't expect your lawyer to be thrilled about this. Many attorneys won't encourage asset protection because they're worried about how it will look in front of the judge. After all, your lawyer might have 25 more cases in that courtroom and doesn't want to be the one representing a client who's seen as taking the control out of the judge's hands. It's not necessarily about about you, it's about their own relationship with the court. So how do you get the best of both worlds? Hire one attorney to defend you and another who specializes in asset protection to secure your assets. That way, you're protected on all fronts. In fact, we have attorneys and consultants on staff with deep expertise in asset protection and ready to help. Feel free to visit our website, assetprotectionplanners.com, where you can get a lot more free information there. Financial privacy. One of the first and most significant benefits of asset protection is privacy. Certain legal vehicles like land trusts and international LLCs allow you to hold property and wealth in a way that keeps it out of the public eye. This reduces your visible net worth and lowers the chances of attracting a predatory legal attack or frivolous lawsuit. Here's why that matters. When a contingent fee lawyer reviews a case, they'll start by doing a public record search to see if you have assets they can easily liquidate to satisfy a judgment. If they find nothing tied to your individual name, the likelihood of them pursuing the case drops dramatically. Simply put, fewer assets, fewer lawsuits. In summary, here's what you should do. Hold your investments, savings, property, business income, and real estate privately. You do this by using the right combination of legal vehicles and business entities to keep your wealth protected and out of reach. Lawsuit avoidance. Lawsuits and litigation can be financially draining. In fact, they're like vampires, sucking your hard-earned wealth. The reality is, when you protect your assets with a well-thought-out plan, there's simply less risk. It's like taking your chips off the table when the stakes are high. Here's the hard truth. The only real winners in a lawsuit are often the lawyers. Even if you come out victorious, you're still left footing the bill for your legal expenses, which can often exceed the cost of the lawsuit itself. That's why preventing a lawsuit is far more valuable than winning one. And asset protection planning is one of the most effective ways to help you avoid the stress, cost, and the time of a long, drawn-out legal battle. Judgment proofing. At the end of the day, the question is, does your asset protection plan actually prevent your assets from being seized? To achieve that level of protection, especially when facing aggressive legal tactics, you may need more than just domestic safeguards. In fact, you may need the strength of international legal tools, such as an offshore trust. Why? Because a determined lawyer and a results-driven judge can often penetrate most domestic asset protection plans. If you're serious about protecting your assets, your resolve needs to be even stronger, and that means removing your assets from the reach of your local courts. By using powerful offshore structures, you place your wealth beyond the grasp of creditors. Now, don't be fooled into thinking your money is safest at home. Attorney Jay Minton says the U.S. is home to 80% of the world's lawyers and 96% of the world's lawsuits. The risk of losing assets to litigation here is significantly higher than many countries around the world. But what about bank safety? Of the 50 safest banks in the world, only one is based in the U.S. and on the bottom half of the list. Not only that, it's a small farming bank. That is, not a single major U.S. bank is on the list. The safest banks in the world are, in fact, located outside the U.S., not inside. However, simply having an international bank account isn't enough. A judge can still force you to repatriate the funds. So you need a combination of the right legal tools and the appropriate international institutions to truly secure your assets from legal threats. Types of planning. Asset protection planning can range from simple to highly complex, depending on your specific needs. At the most basic level, it can start with something like carrying auto insurance. On the more advanced end, it involves using multiple legal tools and business entities, often spanning both local and foreign jurisdictions. Now, the best choice depends on your individual protection needs, the level of risk you face, and your comfort level with different strategies. Here's some of the primary vehicles for estate and asset protection planning. Asset protection trusts, privacy trusts such as land trusts and title holding trusts, limited liability companies or LLCs, foreign corporations and LLCs, and equity stripping, that is stripping the assets out of the asset. Let's talk about domestic asset protection planning. What about domestic asset protection? Well, the case law shows that while there are some options available within the U.S., they often fall short under intense legal scrutiny. For example, domestic asset protection trusts, or DAPTs, are a relatively new concept in the U.S. They offer a a moderate level of protection for property owners, physicians, small business owners, and others seeking protection against internal liabilities. However, there is a major downside. As many attorneys will tell you, judges often prioritize getting the results they want, even if it means bending or ignoring the law. Time and time again, we've seen domestic asset protection trusts fail to protect assets when it matters most. This is especially true when the trust is established in one state, but the trust settler lives in another. Take, for example, Nevada asset protection trusts. We have not seen a single case where a Nevada trust successfully protected the assets of a California resident. More often than not, a judge will simply say, "You're here, your assets are here, I'm going to let your creditor seize them." In such cases, a domestic trustee has little choice but to comply. Let's talk about offshore asset protection planning. When it comes to truly securing your wealth, the most effective asset protection plans often involve a combination of international legal entities and financial institutions. Jurisdictions like Nevis, Belize, and the Cook Islands are widely regarded as three of the safest and strongest offshore trust environments in the world. So what's the key to bulletproofing your asset protection plan? It's simple. Remove your assets from your local court jurisdiction. The countries mentioned here do not recognize foreign court orders. So by moving your assets into an offshore jurisdiction, you effectively place them beyond the reach of legal predators. Now, your money doesn't have to be in these jurisdictions. We often use jurisdictions such as Switzerland or Luxembourg or Liechtenstein to hold the funds. The banks there are strong, robust, and have advanced investment options. When structured properly, using vehicles like offshore trusts and LLCs, you can achieve the highest levels of legal protection available. These foreign jurisdictions are specifically designed to cater to investors seeking a safe harbor for their wealth. They offer a variety of tools: corporations, LLCs, trusts, banking, and investment accounts, all created to diversify and secure your financial holdings under legal frameworks that strongly favor the debtor. Okay, now let's talk about safety. According to the Global Corruption Perceptions Index, New Zealand ranks as one of the safest and most trusted jurisdictions in the world. And the Cook Islands is part of New Zealand. It's one of the top offshore trust destinations, and it operates under New Zealand's legal framework. By comparison, the US ranks 27th on the CPI, underscoring the difference in legal protection. The bottom line: offshore jurisdictions offer the most protective laws, the most flexible legal systems, and are exceptionally investor friendly. In fact, we rely on legal tools from countries with long-standing histories of safeguarding assets from lawsuits. In fact, I've been setting up trusts in the Cook Islands for the past 28 years, and they provide you with the strongest asset protection vehicle available. So who should plan? The truth is, anyone with assets to protect should at least consider an asset protection plan. Many people falsely assume that asset protection is only for the ultra wealthy, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Let's put it into perspective. Imagine a judgment of $350,000. For a multimillionaire, that's a fraction of their total net worth. Painful, but manageable. But for a family with a modest home, savings, and income, that same judgment could wipe out nearly everything they own. So who should be thinking about asset protection? Both the millionaire and the average family. The stakes may be different, but the need for protection is universal. Okay, let's talk about taxation. One important point to remember is that most asset protection vehicles are tax neutral. This means that while there are entities that safeguard your assets, they don't change your overall tax obligation. Income tax responsibility typically passes through to the individual taxpayer. Of course, there are tax-saving strategies you may be able to implement separately, but asset protection planning itself is generally tax neutral. Personalized planning at Asset Protection Planners. We take a personalized approach to your asset protection needs. In fact, our team of experienced attorneys and consultants work closely with clients to guide them step by step through the process. We work with them and focus on educating both you and your existing legal counsel on the options available so that you can make informed, confident decisions every step of the way. Now, this is not an area of law where excessive creativity is needed. Instead, our focus is on a deep understanding of the legal instruments and laws involved with that knowledge. We implement proven strategies, one backed by solid case law, that are tailored to your specific situation. Our goal is to use the right combination of legal tools to ensure that your assets are protected. And we aim to do that no matter what challenges may arise. Now let's quickly cover some asset protection FAQs. What does asset protection mean? Asset protection refers to using legal strategies and tools to shield your assets from creditors. Both individuals and businesses can use asset protection to restrict creditors' access to valuable properties, all within within the boundaries of creditor-debtor law. What's the best way to protect assets? Here's some of the most effective ways to protect your assets. Land trusts for privacy of ownership, keeping real estate ownership out of the public records. LLCs to protect assets and safeguard against personal liability in the event of a lawsuit. Corporations to shield personal assets from business-related lawsuits. Equity stripping, a strategy that reduces the value of your assets by encumbering them with debt, making them less attractive to creditors. Offshore asset protection trusts, the most powerful way to protect liquid assets by placing them outside of the reach of your local jurisdiction, beyond the reach of local courts. So why is asset protection important? Asset protection is critical because it reduces the risk of losing your wealth you've worked so hard to accumulate. I mean, you've extended your time, effort, and expertise. Your assets provide financial security, and that security offers peace of mind, the assurance that you can provide for yourself and your loved ones. Protecting your assets means ensuring your ability to maintain stability and security, no matter what legal challenges may arise. In short, asset protection safeguards your future and the future of those who depend on you. So what is asset protection planning? Asset protection planning involves taking proactive legal steps to shield your assets from potential claims by creditors. And this can include protection from lawsuits, judgments, and divorce settlements and business disputes. Common strategies involve setting up an asset protection trust and LLCs, as well as using equity stripping to encumber property. By doing so, you not only prevent the seizure of assets in the event of a judgment, but also strengthen your position to negotiate a more favorable settlement. If you'd like to explore how asset protection can work for you, feel free to call us or fill out a form for a free consultation at assetprotectionplanners.com. We're here to help you. This is The Business Guy.